Alex, you're here.
I am here. You are also here.
I am. Yeah, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You just had Christmas,
It was
Boxing
Christmas,
Day.
yeah.
Yeah. You know who traveled on Boxing Day and got in trouble for it? The
The
Leafs.
Leafs.
Man, so
Yeah,
what's
that's
what
so
happened
funny.
there? What's going on?
So they left 2 hours before they were allowed to leave. I think I'm not sure. Whatever. They got fined $100,000. Arizona's $100,000 richer. Essentially, what happened was the way Friedman and Chris Johnson explained it was their flight was at 10 p.m. instead of 5 a.m. the next day. And so there was essentially like the way Friedman had said that there was somewhat of a consensus among the players to just leave at 10 p.m. the night before instead of 5 a.m. the day of. And so I guess the Leafs just ate the fine.
Alex, okay, just quickly.
Yeah.
My dog is not getting up to go have her dinner.
Okay.
Carrie, no, please, excuse me, young lady. Here go. She's just looking here.
All
Carrie,
good.
leave. So while I try and move her,
Yeah.
let me know if you think they should have been fined or just carry the show
Oh,
for.
yeah, I got you. Like, listen, at the end of the day, the rules are the rules.
We're good.
The Leafs can afford it. I'm
Oh yeah,
not particularly concerned. It was a busy day for them. Sheldon Keefe also got fined for demeaning
we'll get
actions,
we'll get to that. We'll get to
whatever
that.
whatever that
There's not much
means.
else to talk about, but we'll get to that.
Whatever demeaning actions are, I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it was tough day for the Leafs. They lost a period worth of alcohol.
That's really yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I get it because I think it's about the precedent of it. Like you
Yep,
know what I mean? It was talking about the Mitchell Miller stuff, and Alex, I just realized we were supposed to open with Mitchell Miller and we forgot. That's on me.
that's
Um,
okay. We can still talk about it.
yeah. But the thing with that contract and how the Bruins couldn't just terminate it, there was that thing of precedent and not being allowed to just snap a contract out of
Yeah.
existence. Even though no one wants Mitchell Miller a contract, you understand why it just can't be terminated.
Sure.
This is kind of silly, but I understand setting a precedent that a team cannot mess with days off and travel.
to such
Um,
a to such a less extent is this a similar situation. I understand your point.
yeah,
Vastly different situations. No, listen, like I'm not even upset. Like again, like I think if they couldn't afford it, they wouldn't have done it. Like I think this isn't like listen, I don't think this comes as a surprise to anyone in that organization. I'll put it like that. Right? Like they ate the fight. Like they knew what they were doing. I don't think. Yes, I
yeah.
think one NHL team just didn't know the CBA. You know what I mean? I doubt it.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Alex? You know what? They had the money to burn because that's the money they saved from not being allowed to. What was it like? Train their prospects. What was it? They
To
got
fly
banned.
their prospects over
Man, what
over
a
over the summer.
what a dumb league.
No,
It's
we
not
gotta
good.
help. We gotta help the teams who suck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, we'll get to Sheldon Keefe, but I think first we should talk about Mitchell Miller.
Yep.
So the Bruins basically announced, man, this is just so kind of empty calories when you look at it. New policies in wake of sort of the investigation or internal, whatever you want to call it, into the whole Mitchell Miller vetting process. Now, basically, what they said was there was no wrongdoing found within the process, because of course they're going to say that. But they did basically put out some recommendations that are put in place, or that basically a review was conducted and things were put in place, suggestions when it comes to policies, when it comes to future player acquisitions. I'll just read you some of the points here, Alex. Um, Establish clear written policies for vetting off ice conduct, including identifying red flags, requiring detailed vetting and documented resolution. Establish clear timetables and responsibilities within the organization to investigate prospects, community, or other ICE commitments. Establish centralized documentation of vetting to include reporting on red flags and off ice issues, and ensure such documentation is available to all stakeholders involved in the process. Establish tracking system to ensure responsibilities for all vetting tasks are clearly assigned and tracked. Utilize independent third-party resources to investigate and resolve factual issues when reviewing red flags. determine whether there are specific training or rehabilitation programs the prospect should participate in depending on the nature of the red flags.
Adam, Adam, I just want to apologize on behalf of the Boston Bruins for you having to read that.
I appreciate that, man. That is the most, Alex, one of my least favorite things. You know me. I have a certain way of talking. I have a certain way of communicating.
Yes.
I am not someone who, my least favorite thing is sending emails to professors not because I hate talking to my professors, I love them, but that you have to have a certain way you talk in emails, the good after years, hope this finds you well, bullcrap. I hate corporate speak so much, Alex.
From now on, when I send our Zoom links, I'm going to start with "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hope you are well."
I hope this email finds you well. I wish I could swear into that. It's awful. Eventually, once you get to know a professor, you're a bit more buddy with it. But some professors, some aren't. Just if one's are like, "Hey, I'm a doctor. Call me doctor." Not to. If they're like, "Call me doctor, professor," but you always call them doctor if you're emailing them, just to be like, if I need help here. But anyway,
I don't know about your story. I don't want to get off topic, but though some of your maybe you'd agree, but some of the journalism professors that just didn't care.
No, they didn't. No, they were cool.
It was so cool just sending an email, first name basis, just awesome.
Yeah.
It was great. But let's get back.
Yeah, to the Bruins.
Yeah.
So we didn't do anything wrong, but I just read those outlines and I'm just like, yes, you just didn't do the extra work. Like things of timelines and that, didn't they emphasize they spent all that time with Mitchell Miller and verification, aka I'm assuming that refers back to when his agent was like, he did all this stuff. And then the organizations were like, no, he didn't. We know what you're talking about, sir. You're just lying.
Yeah, I look at this and I'm like, but what were you doing before? The one of those 5 or 6 bullet points is the last one, talking about specific training or rehabilitation programs. I'm like, okay, I can understand you wanting to update that but all the other ones, I'm just like, what were you doing before this? Because I just feel like that's such a standard procedure, even outside of sport, in terms of the hiring process. Every time you have to do the back, sometimes not every time, but sometimes you got to do the background check, the criminal background check.
Yeah.
It's I have to do that. It feels weird that some of these things, I don't know if I don't really understand if there are more so a recommendation or if that's what they're going to implement, meaning they haven't implemented it before. I'm just so curious as to what they were doing.
Considering this review says putting forward these recommendations, I would assume they weren't doing it. It's just so funny that they went and before they were like, we've done our due diligence. And they clearly fed that to people because Elliot Friedman at the time was like, I've heard they've done a lot here. They didn't, and he never acknowledged that. But you know what? It's funny you mentioned background checks. Brothers, like PetSmart does those.
Yeah,
PetSmart's doing more than the Boston Bruins for its employees. What are we doing here?
No, man, it's that, but that was the confusing part about this. It's what we're here are the recommendations, and it's establish clear written policies, so you don't have them at this moment. What? It goes back to the thing you just said about PetSmart does this. If I want to go work at McDonald's or Tim Hortons or name a restaurant, just as another example, there's policies. So what is the NHL the only workplace in the world that doesn't have these? I'm more so confused at what am I supposed to take from this? Is this mean that these are just the recommendations you were given, or does this mean that you didn't have these to begin with?
I should point out, by the way, something I should have done at the start. The investigation was led by former U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch of the law firm Paul Weiss, Rifkind, Wharton, and Garrison. They went through thousands of documents related to the signing.
Thousands.
Yeah, and this is from an article from Kristen Shelton of ESPN. She's one of the good ones, by the way. People don't talk about her enough. Noticed. But yeah, I just it feels like this is everything we expected it to be, and it's kind of sad.
Which was nothing.
When did they release this? Actually, I didn't check.
December 22nd,
22nd,
which was last Thursday.
That's you didn't do it the Friday, but that's still probably because everyone who's going to put it out probably wasn't working that Friday.
Yeah.
That's not awful, but it's still like it's not a red flag, but it's a yellow flag. And the red flags they have to review. Yo, I've never seen a red flag posted so many times. Like, man, Boston, you gotta. It's just so annoying knowing. And the tweets are going around that Mitchell Miller was made about like $100,000 so far from having this contract. I hate the league. I really, really hate them.
Dude, it's just so. Again, like we were having that discussion. I was having that discussion with someone about like the salary cap and whatever. I think we had it on the show too. Like
you talking about the salary cap, really?
But how embarrassing it is that like the NBA, MLB, or NBA and NFL are having these large increases. Well, we're having to debate about $1 million or $4 million salary cap increases. Like it's gone to this point, and it's not only embarrassing, I think, for the Bruins for how it was handled, but like the league too. I think you're like spot on. It's like, how is no one at the league embarrassed by this? Like it got to the point that it got, because the more people talked and the more people, started to dig, the more you realize that like maybe they did have an inkling that this was going to happen, yet didn't really do enough to say, hey, by the way, he's not going to be able to play. And we could have avoided this mess.
Man, the NHL is so, how do I put this? They have such a strong identity and they never stray too far from it.
Strong identity of nothingness.
Yeah, always being disappointing and all that kind of stuff. Alex, we are on the brink of the new year. It's the 28th as we record this of December. So I think it's time to look back at some of the good parts of the year. And I think probably the biggest story of the past couple of weeks, the man has done it. Alexander Ovechkin not only ties, but in the same game, because it's Alexander Ovechkin, passes Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey, on the all-time goal list. Ovechkin is sole possession of number 2. He's at 802 goals, and Wayne Gretzky's the only one ahead of him. I never thought I obviously I always try and get Ovechkin onto the show. As in mentioning him, I love to have to talk about him.
I think we've talked about him about every other episode.
Yeah, man. It's really, really cool. It's cool that we get to talk about only 2 players now in that goal race. Less than 100 away, Alex. I'm so excited to see.
Yeah, it's always cool to witness history, no matter what it is. And in the pursuit of trying to break Gretzky's goal record, more so passing Gordie Howe, Alex Ovechkin now also holds the record for the most shot attempts.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Probably who had it before? Ray Bourque?
Yes.
Man, it's always weird to think a defenseman had that record.
Yeah, just watching, just being able to watch history, it's wild to see. It's one of those moments that's, as a sports fan, is always super cool to watch, because you never know when you're going to see it again. Like, looking at this era of sport, not even just hockey, we're watching some of the greatest players of all time in and outside of hockey.
You think Ovechkin doing this at his age, and McDavid, we're going to talk about McDavid a little later because we're going to do an award show, so I think we know who the MVP is going to be. You look at what he's doing. The talent it will keep getting better in the league, and I feel like we're going to see something special more and more. Somebody, it's not crazy. Seeing someone like Alex Ovechkin reach this plateau at this modern age gives you hope that someone could then chase him one day. It might not be for another generation as what's happened with Ovechkin and that, but like that's just the thing of it. I always love talking about Alex. My favorite fact about my birth is that Gretzky's retirement ceremony was the month after I was born. And to think now here I am at 23 years old watching Ovechkin chase him for the goals. I'm sure if you told Wayne Gretzky that, he'd probably faint from his old age. But it's just really cool to really just see. I'm using the word cool a lot. I don't want to try and be, phantasmal along this guy. I just want to say, like, it's just sick. Um,
Yeah.
what else? Looking back at, let's look October to now. What have been some of your favorite stories in the league? Hell, why don't we just go back of all this year if you really want to? If you can remember some of last season, I can't do this with you. But.
Lord. I mean, to me, getting that Stanley Cup final of Colorado and Tampa Bay, I think it's something everyone's been dying for
Yep.
for a couple of years now. Uh, and for Colorado to, they're humping past the second round, and beating Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
It was the final we all wanted to see, and frankly, I think it lived up to the reputation it had. Alongside that, Tampa Bay making it to their third straight Stanley Cup final, I think is quite impressive. Is the one that stands out to me from last season. This season, I think you got to look at the Devils, just that win streak, and we won't talk about the way it ended, but let's just look at that win streak and how impressive it was. And you look back at what New Jersey was last year and to the additions they've made this year. I think while a lot of the team might be the same, players within it are leaps and bounds better.
Forget about not looking at last year. Don't look at like their last 12 games. They came back to earth real quick.
Yeah.
This was fine though. I love looking back at the playoffs because obviously we got Battle of Alberta. We got one of the funniest moments ever in Mike Smith letting in a goal that came from the offensive zone for the Oilers,
and then blaming it.
And then blamed the ghost.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. That's still so funny. I think back to obviously, my dear lover, Cherry Lehkonen, not only scoring the goal that sent Colorado to the finals, but the cup winning goal, seeing another former Scandinavian Hab who I love scoring a cup winning goal. Hello, Lars Eller. That continues to hurt. It was before the year, but finally seeing the banishing of Marc Bergevin was something I wanted for a long time. It's been nice, man. This season, I think I have to say this. The rebirth of Erik Karlsson has been something I have been dreaming about for years now. And we're finally getting it. Talk about award show. I think you know who my Norris Trophy winner is going to be, lads. But I'm trying to think what else has been cool this year. Maybe for me personally, Cole Caulfield being, finally seeing what he's made of has been pretty cool. When I think of non-Hab stories, Tage Thompson's been really cool because it's always cool seeing a big man because there's no one else like him in the league. Jason Robertson, maybe like I think just being otherworldly. That's been nice. I'm trying to think what's a funny moment? Like what's something that's just kind of been like embarrassingly funny? Maybe you talk about the Devils chanting "Fire Lindy" and then like 2 weeks later apologizing. That was pretty good. Yeah. I think that's good. So why don't we do our New Year's award show?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll open with the MVP.
All right.
This is what we're doing, but I should probably figure this up. It doesn't get a fancy name because it's not the halfway award show. It's the New Year's one. We were trying to figure out what to talk about. There's not a lot here, so the MVP, the Norris Trophy on this show. Let's make this very clear. The Norris Trophy goes to the best offensive defenseman on our show. Let's get that clear. Best defensive defenseman we call the Fulton Reed Trophy. Shout out Mighty Ducks. The Vezina goaltender of the year, obviously. The Calder for rookie of the year. Jim Gregory, GM of the year. And Jack Adams, the coach of the year. Alex, MVP on 3. 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
Connor McDavid.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. I know we'll keep this one short, but I have some ridiculous stats. So obviously, besides his 31 goals and 67 points in 36 games, by the way, which is ridiculous. That means he leads the league in goals, assists, points, power play goals, power play points. He's 4 goals behind Jason Robertson for even strength goals. He's 2 points behind Sidney Crosby for even strength points. He's shooting at 22.5%. McDavid has a point in every game but 4 for the Oilers. They're 1-3 when he doesn't have a point.
That's man, and they're still mediocre this year.
And he's had 7 4-point nights this year.
Holy crap!
Which the Oilers are, thank God, 7-0 in.
That man. And then you realize they have Leon Draisaitl too, and they're still just bad.
Yeah.
Retweet for my response to that. It's that simple. Okay. Norris Trophy for the best offensive defenseman. Alex, go ahead.
I have Erik Karlsson.
Okay, good. I was wondering if you're going to go Rasmus Dahlin and cause a fight.
No, I almost picked Josh Morrissey for the jokes just to see what would happen, but I had to go with Erik Karlsson.
Well, what's nice about Karlsson is he's also had a few 4-point nights. Not, like all of those McDavid does, but it's just that he is trying his best to put the Sharks on his back, and he'll probably cost them Connor Bedard, but that's okay.
And he's their only bright spot this year, unfortunately.
Man. This is tough thing to clean up.
The impressive thing though is because of his offensive prowess, I feel like he gets a lot of credit for his power play stuff. Yeah. This year, not so much. Like he's up there in power play goals and points, but like he's not at the top. He's leading defenseman in goals and points on during even strength. Right, like he has 34 points of his 48 even strength, so like he's getting it done. He's getting it done 5-on-5.
Pop, love to see it. I'm obviously Karlsson too. I love him. I go back and listen to. I love Erik Karlsson. The Fulton Reed Trophy, best defensive defenseman. I am going Hampus Lindholm. Listen. We before the show we talked about we can't say Jacob Slavin again.
It's the easy one though.
And so I'm going with Hampus Lindholm.
Like every year there's 2 easy picks for this award. Or there's 3 pretty much frankly. There's 3. There's Slavin, there's Jonas Brodin, and then there's Brett Pesce, right? Like those 3 are the easiest
the
ones.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, every one of the Carolina Hurricanes. Last year, you probably could have given it to like any of them. Listen, I'm also gonna go with Hampus Lindholm. I don't want to be copying you, but I am. I really like Hampus Lindholm. I said it on the podcast last year. I thought that's the guy the Leafs should have went after. Towards the trade deadline, I'm very upset that Boston got him and then proceeded to extend him. Yeah. You just look at the beginning of the season when their defense was without 2 of their best defensemen, Boston's best defensemen, and McAvoy and Matt Grzelcyk. Not only did he produce offensively, but I think he held the ship. And once McAvoy came back, that pairing is probably the best if not the best in the NHL.
It's hard to disagree with you there.
Yeah.
The Vezina Trophy.
Okay.
Who do you have?
All right. So I think we might disagree on this. I don't know. I have Connor Hellebuyck.
Okay.
Do you have Connor Hellebuyck?
Yeah.
Oh man, we are just spot on.
I thought you were going to go Sorokin.
I thought about Sorokin. I also thought about Linus Ullmark. But
I mean, he is at the top of like every goalie category.
He is. The reason I didn't pick Ullmark is because I just think that Winnipeg relies a little bit more on Hellebuck than
I
the
think you're
Bruins.
being generous saying a little bit.
It relies a lot more on Connor Hellebuck than the Bruins rely on Allmark. Like Hellebuck is putting up similar, if not better, numbers to when he won the Vezina in 1920.
So it's weird. You can look at the top guys. I got save percentage guys up here right now, and funny that Craig Anderson is sixth in the league. Like if you look at some of the guys up here, like if we're looking at top 10 in save percentage, Jay Gottinger's at a 919. He could always go on the run and get it. Samsonov 14 games. And Darcy Kemper's up to a 920. That's interesting. Philip Gustafson is a 920.
Who?
Georgiev is up to
wait. Who is that name? Who is that name? Philip Gustafson. Oh,
he's outperforming Marc-Andre Fleury. What a surprise! Alexander Georgiev in 24 games is a 921. That's looking like a very
and you still don't believe in Colorado's goaltending.
No, it's just I think I gotta go. I think I gotta eat on that. They still need a center. They still need one. They're not repeating. They need a legit. Go get Bo Horvat. They're repeating. I'm not even questioning it. Yeah. But then, like, you look at Matt Murray's there 12 games played, though. So then, like, Kochekov, the problem with Kochekov is he only plays 15 games. So then when you look at that top echelon of them, there is a separation between Hellebuck, Sorokin, and that, and then this sort of thing of Craig Anderson and that, right? Or I shouldn't say. Let's say Georgiev is the front runner. Not Craig Anderson. All due respect to Craig Anderson. Oh at his age, that number's in 13 games. Not bad.
Yeah, but give him the Vezina just for that.
The separation you have to those four players, those four goalies, between Sorokin, Hellebuck, and Ullmark, Kochekov too, but he's got to play more. Same thing with like Matt Murray. But if you give either Ullmark, Hellebuck, or Sorokin the Vezina, I don't think anyone would really be upset.
No, I don't think you can be upset. Even if, like, let me just double check something real quick. Like, even if the Islanders are just outside of a playoff spot right now, but even if they just finish outside of a playoff spot and Sorokin wins the Vezina, I don't think you can be mad.
No, not at all. Okay, so now we go to the Calder Trophy. Okay, this is an interesting one because I see it as a two-horse race right now.
Okay.
I want to know who you say first.
All right. Do you want me to give my reasoning too while I'm at it? Yeah, sure. So I have Matty Beniers out of Seattle, 11 goals, 25 points in 32 games. I mean, he leads rookie scoring right now. That's not necessarily that's why he's my number one guy. He spends a considerable amount of time on the first line with Jared McCann and Jordan Eberle. And he's second in team scoring behind Andre Burakovsky. And this is a guy and he's playing center, right? Like he is playing center. He's taken the majority of the faceoffs on that line, if not almost all of them. So I think some credit's got to be given to Matty Beniers for that in his first year out of college.
Oh yeah. I'm actually going with a goaltender. I'm going Logan Thompson. Because not only he's there with games played because he's at 25 games.
Yeah.
He's got the 16 wins and he's at a 913 save percentage. Which, by the way, there's a good number of goaltenders that are up there with save percentage. I think it's gone up a bit this year. I just think we need a bit more love to the goaltenders. And if he does this throughout the entire year instead of 25 game stretch like Jordan Binnington did and claimed to have said he should have won it, I think
who won it that year? Oh, okay.
Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
Not the Elias Pettersson that Vancouver sent to the World Juniors.
Oh.
Remember, they have two of them.
Yeah.
Funny. But yeah, no. I love Matty Beniers. I have him in fantasy. He's great for me. But
you have him out of spite though, because you want.
And do you know what? It worked because he's been great. Yeah, I drafted him because Mike took Cole Caulfield, and then I got Caulfield, and it worked out, and I had Matty Beniers. Yeah. Who did I give him? I don't even remember. I think I gave Philip Forsberg for Caulfield. I feel bad. I don't feel bad about it.
Is Pyotr Kochetkov's? Wow, that was tough. Kochetkov, is he a rookie? Right? He should be. I'm
pretty sure he is. Remember, he signed that extension only playing like 9 games or something.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe he's a shout.
If he can get more games in, I think he'll definitely be up there. But right now, again, it's like the thing of if Matt Murray keeps this up, he'll be in the Vezina conversation as well. You almost did a spit take, but I mean it. The guy's at a 925, Alex.
Dude.
Like, come
No,
on.
no, I don't disagree with you.
I'm not
But
saying he should win it because Hellebuck is there, but he'll be in the conversation.
It's just so funny how whatever. It's just funny. I'm not going to make any takes.
Cover my bases here because Logan Thompson is 25. However,
oh boy.
However, and he played 19 games last year. However, goaltenders.
Goaltenders, nothing. Goaltenders,
they're different.
No.
He's also played like 50 AHL games. Yeah, I didn't notice that until just now. Oh man, he's the Jim Gregory for GM of the year. This is kind of tough.
Summer of Pierre.
Yeah, Summer of Pierre and Summer of Boston Pizza is not working.
Yeah, I love it. I love how we just named it Summer of Boston Pizza.
So who's your GM of the year?
Okay, so I had some trouble with this one in terms of like just picking. I'm like, who changed their team and did well? And I'm like, I wanted to go with Don Waddell, but I didn't. I think I went with him last year.
That's an easy answer.
I almost went with Jim Nill. I thought that would have been a cool one. I didn't. Pardon?
I also thought of Jim Nill.
Yeah, I went with Tom Fitzgerald.
Okay, fair enough.
I think you look at New Jersey, and I'm always the guy that says, listen, man, they're not that different from last year. I mean, like, listen, the thing with they've added pieces that have definitely helped them. They've brought in a goaltender that is healthier than Mackenzie Blackwood and Vitek Vanacek. Bringing in John Marino has really helped them. Despite him not playing yet, playing more than I think like 5 games, Andre Palat, I think, will prove to be a really good piece, especially if this team makes the playoffs, because that guy has been to the playoffs 3 times. He has been deep 3 times and more. So I just think those moves, and considering how well they started, how well they're doing right now, their start to the season wasn't fantastic, but still, I think that's why he deserves a Jim Gregory Award.
Joel Edmondson has not been traded for a first-round pick yet, so I can't make it. Can't make it Kent Hughes. Yeah. Now, Alex, I actually made a promise on the show in the summer. Do you remember what it was? I said if Kyle Dubas can go the entire season without making a cap dump move, he will be my GM of the year. So
you did not do that.
He is yet to do that. So right now, my GM of the year is Kyle Dubas because of the work he's done. The guy. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he should be extended.
Oh my God!
You know, like some people are starting to say, no, win a playoff round. There needs to be consequences for not winning. But I legit look at the work he's done, the guys he's replaced, and all that. I just I'll give him credit. Like, he's done well. And when he brings in his guys, they aren't complete scrubs like what happens with other players, like other teams. I legit think he should be there. Yeah. No, I'm not going to be like shouting Keith Jack Adams because there's some stuff I think he's way too stubborn with. But yeah, my Jim Gregory is Kyle Dubas, and I say that with my chest.
Man, that's awesome. That's I can't wait till someone reads this. To someone listens to this.
I know.
This might just have to be the clip, frankly.
Now, when it comes to Coach of the Year, Alex, I had a very difficult time with this as well.
Did you?
But then I kind of see. Here's the thing. I was going to give at the start of the year, the way it was looking, I was going to give my GM of the year. I thought about, again, this was all based on Kyle Dubas not doing a cap move, so there's always a thing. But I thought at one time, somehow my GM of the year and my Coach of the year can be the same people.
Okay.
However, then the Bruins signed Mitchell Miller, and I was like, I can't do that. But my Coach of the year is Jim Montgomery, because the Bruins have just, like, they're a wagon. It was close between him and Rod Brind'Amour, because it's Rod Brind'Amour. Yeah. But, like, there are a good couple of contenders here. But, yeah, my guy's Jim Montgomery, because he has, like, such a breath of fresh air to the Bruins, and like Jake DeBrusk, obviously, and Patrice Bergeron, like now obviously like Pat doesn't need the help, but it's just what he's done to that lineup. I have to look past what's happened to my dear Craig Smith. But like, they're like the best team in the league. So I'm confident. I almost went Rick Bowness, but I'm like, I'm feeding too much into the awards thing
Yes,
of
yes.
you were supposed to be bad and you defied expectation. So I'm gonna go with the Bruins, who it's different because we thought they would have a bad start because of injuries, but I think we all thought the Bruins would. I think there was a thought of it is the Bruins and Boston sports in general have a thing of defying expectations. But especially you and I were also very big on David Krejci coming back, and we
Yeah.
thought that would give him a step forward. Someone we did our preseason thing with disagreed with that. But yeah, I'm very high on Jim Montgomery. I also personally have a lot of time for the fact that he's someone who went out, he got help, worked his way back into a position where he's a head coach. I love the Jim Montgomery story.
Wait, who disagreed with that?
Mike, he's like, David
Oh,
Krejci, he's been, he's old now. He's been playing North America.
oh, okay. Sorry, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, no, Mike did. Hi, Mike.
No, I also have Jim Montgomery. But let's be frank here, Adam. These are both our second place candidates because respectively you have Jared Bednar, I have Sean Cooper, but that's besides the point. I also have Jim Montgomery. You brought up Jake DeBrusk. I went to go look at their scoring earlier. He is third in team scoring. He has 27 points in 33 games.
Have him in fantasy.
Yeah, no, he's it's been a breath of fresh air for him, I think, this year. And like you brought up the start of this season without Brad Marchand, Charlie McAvoy, and Matt Grzelcyk, and like they took a step forward. It feels like they took a step forward. You know what I mean? Like they're 27, 4-3 for God's sakes. Like, my Lord.
They've kept it up. Like the Devils came back to earth. The Bruins have kept it up. And by the way, you joke about the Avs. If Mikko Rantanen gets hurt, the Avs like have no one to score because everyone's hurt right now. It's literally just Mikko Rantanen scoring goals. It's hilarious. I love that player. It's another player I've always been a big fan of is Mikko Rantanen. I love that player. Okay, to finish off, we can quickly just look at the Leafs and the Habs.
Can I just say I can't believe we agreed on so many of those.
What, man? It's just the thing is there's a pool of players, except MVP, that should just be McDavid.
Yeah.
But like there's a good pool of Dahlin could win the Norris too. Like Heiskanen, I think, has had a really good year. There's a lot of guys out there that I think there's a good pool for the awards this year. It's been a good season. You're starting to see separation in the standings finally, but there's still enough interest as opposed to this time last year where, it was just decided like, okay, so these 8 teams are making it, and Columbus.
Especially in the East.
What was it like? The Islanders had like 10 games in hand over one team, and even if they won all of them, they were still like behind, and it was just like this is all.
Yeah, no, like, it was that sort of stuff.
Like even the Coyotes are garbage this year. They're second last in their division, but like they've been fun.
They have been. They have been.
Weird. By the way, tomorrow because the Leafs are playing. I think it's tomorrow. That so much is going to be said about Mullet Arena. Shout out, by the way, that the Blackhawks are total trash. But anyway, the Leafs. This is what I wanted to ask you here at New Year's. Where do you see them in the grand pecking order of the league? Because they are second in the division. It's just the problem is that division includes the Boston Bruins. And off the top of my head, what are they? Are they third in the East and probably behind like the Hurricanes in Boston?
They're third in the East behind Hurricanes in Boston. They're also third in the league behind the Hurricanes in Boston. God damn it.
Yo, the East is a bloodbath.
I want to cry. I just want to cry. Like, it's ridiculous.
I just realized, you remember how I said the Caps are cooked? They've won 5 straight.
Yeah.
They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're above the Penguins. What happened?
I don't know.
Games in hand.
I feel dumb.
Yeah, man.
Dumb. Listen, they played 37 games. The Penguins have played 34. Whatever. Man,
the Devils and Rangers are the difference is 3 points. And that's second and fifth in the division. Sorry, but like the Leafs, they are a very good team.
See, the thing with the Leafs is every time I have to talk about the Leafs, I have to understand, and I do, that I can't put them in contenders. I can't. Like, I don't have any logical reasoning to put them in contenders, and I think I have a pretty good explanation for it, and I think you might know it as well, Adam. They haven't won a playoff round in 7 years. I think 7 years, if I can do math correctly.
Wait, they haven't won a playoff round in 7 years?
Well, in this core.
Oh,
I
this
mean, this
core.
core.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
about
no,
to
they
say.
haven't won a playoff round in about whatever since my entire life.
Yeah.
Feels like. No, but like this core has been around for X amount of years. I think seven haven't won a playoff round. So it's a
Yeah.
little hard to like make them contenders when they haven't done it.
Yeah.
So I think the thing, whatever the level below contenders is, I feel comfortable enough putting them there. Very good teams. I don't know what's the level below contenders. What do we call that?
So what is it, like cup contender,
Yeah,
playoff team, or like something between there?
I feel like it's something in between playoff team and contender.
I think they're a conference final team. Like, and that is not an insult. That is
No.
sort of like,
I
here's
would
the
love
thing.
that.
Is like, to get to the conference finals, they probably have to beat the Bruins in the second round, which is just hilarious to think of.
And
But
the
then
Lightning in the first round. Are you kidding me?
the way it's looking, so it's hilarious that to win, if you want to be a 2 or 3 team, like let's just say it's Tampa, for example, trying to make it to a 4th straight final, they have to get through the Leafs, probably Boston, and one of Carolina, probably Pittsburgh or one of those guys. And like, that is a joke.
I want to cry.
I want to make it clear that is not me complaining about the playoff format.
No.
But it's just, that's how crazy the East is.
I mean, okay, like the playoff format would be how much different? Like, so it's 1-8, 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. So the Leafs would play the Penguins, then the Hurricanes, and then the Bruins.
Yeah, man. Even the Penguins, it's like, I don't want to go into a.
No.
Even if they haven't had a lot of round, like I don't think they've won a round in like years. It's Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, like I'm not.
Malkin is still like a god. We never talk about.
Yeah. No, I like. So if I have to put them in a ring, like in a level, sure. Like it's whatever's below contenders. I think there's a group of teams that are contenders this year. You talk about Boston, you talk about Carolina. Throw Tampa and Colorado in there because I don't care where they are in the league.
It's them.
It's them. They're, you know what I mean?
Nathan McKinnon may have heard.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much good enough for pure contenders. And then I think if you go a level below, you're talking about Toronto, Washington, Pittsburgh, the Rangers. Like,
see, I have the Leafs above all those teams, though. I have them at the top of those. Yeah, I without a question, I do.
I just so that
you know, especially
I
if they,
appreciate. Sorry,
I'm not saying they're gonna go get Ryan O'Reilly, but if they get Ryan O'Reilly, it's like, yeah, they clear easy in there. You know, there's obviously a move coming, or if it's Tarasenko because they just played the Blues. I really hope, by the way, if the Leafs get Vladimir Tarasenko at the trade deadline, I don't think I'll be able to watch them play because I have always loved Vladimir. Like, he's one of the earliest. Him and Erik Karlsson are two of the players that aren't Habs that I fell in love with. And if Tarasenko puts on the Leafs jersey, I don't know how I'll feel about it. But you know, yeah. I see them in that tier with Carolina and that. And like, listen, I think there's an asterisk next to both Carolina and Toronto because, you know, let's be honest here. It's not like the Canes have made significant progress in the playoffs either.
No,
I mean,
they also
can't talk about the Bruins being a nightmare.
Yeah, they also can't get past Boston. To be honest, like
Bruins suck.
It's just I appreciate your optimism. I struggle to put them in there. When, listen, have they gotten better over the years? Sure. It's just they haven't done one thing. They haven't done the one thing they needed to do, which is win a damn playoff round. So it's hard for me to put them in contenders when they haven't won a playoff round. That's where my struggle is.
Alex, I'm sick of Habs Twitter.
Okay. Why? I also am.
Listen, you know me. You know, I was over last year, you know, in that hunt for Slavkovsky, who I wanted Shane Wright, obviously. Man, man,
I hope
listen,
you know you'll never live that down, right?
I know, I know. Listen, right now the Habs are 26. The Panthers, who obviously Montreal have their pick, is 23rd.
Wait,
I
the
want,
Panthers are 23rd in the league?
yeah.
Where have I been?
You know,
Oh my God.
yeah, man. Yeah.
Sorry, I did not know that was a thing.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because everyone's been doing simulators and doing it to Montreal get 1 and 2. Listen, guys, I talked about like Joel Armia is on the top line tonight, which I
Yeah.
actually don't think is a bad idea. I actually think the fit there is, puck retrieving guy. Armia can be pretty good in keep away. He just needs to be consistent. Like I know he doesn't have a goal. Trust me, I've complained plenty about Joel Armia. I don't hate that move, but it's just like, guys, if you want to rely so heavily on getting Connor Bedard, you're going to turn into the Sabres. And then if like, let's say they fall, like they even like, first off, I don't think going into this season, like I thought they were a bottom team. But I said to you, Chicago and Arizona are probably going to be difficult competition. The Ducks are there too. So I don't think being a bottom three team was ever a realistic thing. I just don't think it was. I still think they were a bottom team, and I said they were easily the bottom of the division. Like I thought them and the Sabres were going to have a dogfight, and the Sabres are at 22nd, so they haven't really gone too far ahead. But like I'm just kind of sick of the whole thing of, I get you need to tank for elite talent, but like, are we going to sit there and say you can't get that at 10? You can't just have your whole sort of thing. Remember last year, I won it first, but I was okay with a top 3 pick because damn, that's pretty good. It's just been, I dealt with this all of last year, and I cannot mentally put myself in a space where we're going to do this for the whole of this year. Like, I just think it's a little ridiculous, the point that they're at right now. It's legit like they win a game. It is, Alex, it is not even January. People see them at 26, and Patrick Talon, who has been on the show, said right now it's a failure of a year. Guys, relax a bit. Like, not trading Edmondson and Anderson. They don't do that. I'm with you, but relax a bit. It is not a failure of, guys. It is difficult to be worse than the Blackhawks this year. They traded Kirby Dach and DeBrincat were like, yeah, whatever. Like, just, I wish I could swear. Just relax.
You did.
Calm down. It's okay. Things happen. They're not. This isn't finishing 15th and getting a middling pick. Like 26 and 23 right now is not bad. Not to mention, like, because of the way the lottery has changed, let's not forget, since the rules came in, first overall has always gone to the last place team, right? However, that stops it from a 15th team moving up and then pushing you back even more spots. So being in the bottom 10 is actually super advantageous. Like, better than it's always been. Like, I get it. Like, listen, I would love Fantilli. I would love Dvorsky. I love Carlson. I love Bedard. But if you only set your mind, and I know this because I was there at the draft with Daniel next to me and put my standards so high onto getting Shane Wright that it ruined nearly the whole draft for me. You are going to ruin whoever like they end up drafting in that position. Because, and I can already see it now, when they moved up one spot and got 3rd overall for Kotkaniemi, the fan base was so mad because it was like, oh, we're going to get Rasmus Dahlin. Guys, just relax. This is why people don't think the Montreal market is ready for a rebuild. Just breathe. I don't want to see this on Twitter anymore. It is not a failure of the year. If you look at the way Caulfield and Suzuki are playing, like, Caulfield could score 50. Shut up. Just relax, guys. There's other ways of getting elite talent, and Kent Hughes has shown a willingness to make moves like the Kirby Dach move. Not saying Kirby Dach's going to be an elite player. He's pretty damn. But he only has shown willingness to make moves that Mark Bergevin never did. It's a bit. I'm done.
I agree. Listen, I'm very negative toward pretty much how North American sports have set up their like development system. Whatever. That's besides the point. My point is, I just think there's the NHL. I think the way Montreal's doing it is the right way around going to do it. I think the point is the players that you currently have who are extremely young for the most part, the guys you are looking forward to seeing are 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 good enough to progress this. They're not going to be a playoff team. They're probably not going to push for a wild card spot. You're right. They'll probably finish around bottom 10, get 10th overall, and that's fine. This reliance on I don't necessarily agree with the idea that, like, I think Montreal is very much a good example of you get your first overall pick, which they got in Slafkovsky, and then you have to fill around Slafkovsky. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to keep tanking. Like, I think if you Buffalo's a weird, like, Rasmus Dahlin is a good example of Jack Hughes is a good example of a first overall pick. It's hard to always look at McDavid, Matthews, who else has just jumped right into the league recently. You're not always going to get a guy who's going to jump right into the league and be an absolute beast. That's not always going to happen. And I think the way Montreal's done it is they've gone their first overall pick. They're playing him. He's developing. He's the team is getting better around him, along with Caulfield and Suzuki. And the idea that they have to tank again to get Connor Bedard, I don't think helps the team. Like, the idea is, yes, I understand you have to look out for the future, but at the same time, what's the point of having these scouts if all we're worried about is drafting first overall? Like, it's what you're going to get in the later rounds in surrounding the talent. Go look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah. I understand Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, those guys who were drafted very highly, but go look at what surrounds them. Go look at
second, Sergachev, they got via a trade. Now, can you say they traded him for a third overall pick guy, but still that was a player who, you look at what he's turned into, this has been great. And he was a 9th overall pick. If you're really complaining about being in the top 10, that's a guy who was drafted around there.
Sure, but when they drafted Jonathan Drouin, was that not the season that they had injuries? If I'm mistaken.
Are you thinking about the one where the Leafs made it? Because I think it was a couple years before that.
2013 was when they drafted Jonathan Drouin, right?
I'm
looking.
Were they the same year or were they a year apart? Anyway,
NHL standings. But my point is, look at what's surrounding the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, Vasilevsky was a first round pick.
So sorry,
right?
You're cutting out a bit on my end. Sorry, I can't hear it.
Sorry. No, I was just saying if you look at the Lightning, their franchise goalie was a 19th overall pick or something around there.
And a pick that didn't even belong to them.
Right. Like, it's all bigger than just drafting first overall.
If you're in the Canadian, you remember how famously, apparently, there were leaks that Marc Bergevin and the Canadiens brass were planning on signing John Tavares, and then he didn't even give them a meeting, famously. If you're an organization and your whole plan is around a player that isn't in your organization, I think you're failing at your job. You need to see what's in front of you, and as you say, like an example being Slafkovsky, build around them. Do they need more elite talent? Yes. But guys, it's going to come. There's a reason that this draft class has been talked about so much. Now, obviously, am I happy with all the usage of Slafkovsky this year? No, I'm not. Am I going to be upset if they re-sign Sean Monahan? Absolutely. But just take a breath here. If you constantly go for tank, you're going to be the Coyotes. You're going to be the Sabres. This year and last year, the Sabres are just questionable, but they're still a team that hasn't made the playoffs in more than a decade. It's just try and enjoy it. Yeah, I also think that the fan base there were pockets of them that got fooled by the way the team was performing earlier in the year. Dominic Ducharme, all the problems with him, had that famous saying of, the season is almost four quarters, and at each point, a player, especially young players who play well in the first quarter, by the time Q4 comes around and teams are really tightening it up, it's a different type of game. You know, the Canadians were never going to be this team that was. I kept telling you, Alex, like this is like, especially after that first, what was it, that first like portion of the season where they had games against like the Sabres and that, they were easy points, but then once they hit last month, we knew December was going to be tough. Like that was the comeback down to earth phase. And I think some people in the fan base, there's a mixture of, I think they drank the Kool-Aid earlier in the season. And then they're just sort of forgetting now that they're facing real teams where they really are in the pecking order of the NHL. And that is, this is the team that was last year, have lost more talent if you think about it, with Jeff Petrie being gone, and obviously Mike Matheson hasn't freaking played, like he's played games but not many. Oh, and by the way, Shea Weber is still gone, and Carey Price is never playing again. And like this team has not improved greatly. Like, let's just relax a bit, guy. I keep saying it. Just breathe a little bit. Just breathe. And again, I've said this before. Jonathan Drouin's not going to be around in a couple of years. Joel Armia won't be part of the team long term. Don't worry about it.
Like okay. I think if you look at where Montreal is in terms of the standings of where they are in the conference, in the Eastern Conference, you have the two teams who unfortunately right now are the dumpster fire of the East, which are Columbus and Philly. Is that's a fair assessment to say?
Yeah,
they're not there. They're not. They're above them.
Yeah.
But last year they were down there. They were the worst. They were the worst team in the East. Were they not?
Never had a winning record at any point in the year.
Yeah, it was ugly. And I think they've taken so many steps forward, beating teams that they should have beaten. And like they're tied with points on Ottawa. Right? And I'm trying to look at the positives here and say, look how everyone talked about Ottawa walking into the season. And yeah, I'm aware that they haven't performed up to standards. But still.
So that's also what happens when your GM's prematurely like, yeah, we're done here.
Yeah.
Just need a bit of patience, people. It's fine. Listen, realistically, it's like if they finish 26, I think that's fair to say that's where they could finish.
Sure.
You still have a good chance of the lottery. And if not, even if you stay in that spot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th overall is not bad. And then having possibly 8, 9, 10th with Florida.
Yeah.
They could still both be lottery picks, but let's not bank on it. But 7 and 9, 7 and 10, sorry. You either get a damn good player or they're trading assets. Now, let's be honest. I mean, that rarely actually happens at the draft. Feels like top 10 picks never actually move. But still, those are two damn good players. And those are higher, quality first rounders, with the exception of first overall last year. Better quality in the first round than they had last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty damn good.
And I guess to add on to what we were talking about before, I don't think Connor Bedard he's a really good player, super, super good player, but he does not finish your rebuild, right? Just because you draft Connor Bedard doesn't encapsulate, hey, we're done. It's not Pierre Dorian coming out and saying you're done. Look at the Edmonton Oilers. I mean that with all due respect. Look at the Edmonton Oilers. It's who are you surrounding your top end talent with? Who are you surrounding Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach and Uri Slafkovsky with? I'm not saying it's the be all end all, because that's the boomer thing to say. But yeah. I think you have your top end talent. How are you going to surround it should be the next questions.
They still have defense. I still think a lot of people overrate Logan Mailloux. That's not just a personal thing. It's just, you look at the comparisons of people his age, he's just not as good as people think he is.
Sure.
Their goaltending in the future is such a question mark.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to make this really clear.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't want Connor Bedard. I would give a finger for him. I'm not. I would love Connor Bedard, but I'm not going to put my hopes and dreams on getting Connor Bedard in the season and saying it's a failure. Like that's such a. I just don't think that's the right mindset to have.
I also think that's the most anti-sports mindset set to have. I get the what is man, this is gonna be a hot take. I don't think this is gonna be a hot take. What is professional sports about?
Winning.
Winning. So I just find it hard to believe that finishing last is a success of a season. I just can't understand that. Like again, and I know people would argue, okay, Leafs 2016, dude. I was 16 years old. Please don't ask for my opinion when I was 16 years old.
Yeah, both of us would love Bedard on the team, but don't put your entire hope and dream on a 22% chance if you're last. Just relax, people. Do you know what's actually really funny, by the way? If we're just gonna finishing on the Habs, this was going around on Twitter because Joel Armia is playing tonight on that top line. He enters tonight on 68 goals.
Oh,
so he could score goal number 69 in game 420 tonight. And I think we're all hoping it's going to happen.
That's so
funny. You know who scored in the last Habs game, by the way? Jake Evans finally got his first of the year. Good guy. I think it's only Armia who hasn't scored yet. Man,
Oof.
I would love to have Joel Armia must have a silver tongue or something. The way he continuously makes people think he's. He tricks all the scouts. He tricks all the scouts. Anyway, I still think it's a good idea to put him on the top line.
Do it. Increase that trade value,
Yeah, I mean, I can only, we spent a year pumping up Ben Sherratt. We're doing it with Edmondson now. I can't do. There are 3 assists Joel Armia on the year. I can't even do that. I can't spin that tail. He's great in the World Championships. His value's up, and then he just comes back to North America, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm bad. Anyway,
man.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Yeah, man. It was fun. Check us out on social media everywhere. God, it sucks that Twitter's going downhill still, by the way.
Is it?
Ads top of the timeline all the time. It's just sad. It keeps recommending me Elon Musk tweets. I don't want to see them.
Is it actually? Wow.
Yeah, it is. I've put show less from Elon Musk about 3 times already, and I'm close to blocking.
And it hasn't worked.
I wonder why. No, it hasn't worked, but I wonder why. I don't like your tweets. I don't think they're funny. Anyway. All right, Alex. We'll see you next time.
Next year.
Happy New Year!
Yeah.